Welcome to the bizeasier podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. Brought to you by Resources and Development. Go to www.resources-development.com for help in taking your business to the next level. And now, help me welcome the host of the bizeasier podcast, Steve McCrillis.
Welcome to the bizeasier podcast, coming to you from America's small business capital, recorded right here in Middle Tennessee, while reaching across the airwaves all over the globe. bizeasier, your resource to help take your business to the next level. Also, stay tuned to learn how you can get your free bizeasier business tool at the end of the podcast. My name is Steve, your host, as we all learn how to stay better focused on the things that make you great. Now, I'd like to introduce you to my partner and our resident guru of coaching, our lead business coach, Skip Williams.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Everything good today?
So far, so good. Yeah.
So far, so good. I know we try to help businesses become the best that they can, but what do you call a factory that makes only okay products?
A factory that makes only okay products. I give
a satisfactory.
Should have seen that one coming. I'm going to ask for a copy in advance from now on. That's it.
All right.
So what's on the agenda today, Skip?
Well, just like most things that you thought were going to be relatively easy, finding employees turns out to be harder than you thought, didn't it? Contemporary news points out that most companies, especially small to medium-sized companies, are having difficulty finding employees to work. In recent months, Chick-fil-A has had to delay opening of new locations as they did not have adequate staffing to open their doors. The economy, along with unemployment rates, suggests that this shouldn't be the case, but alas, it has become nearly a full-time job seeking employees. In an economy that has lots of people that are looking for a job, it may be easy to find a warm body, but difficult to find the right person or persons, or what I call the Goldilocks employee. It's just become difficult to find the right butt for the right seat, hasn't it, Steve?
Well, I actually feel for many small businesses that they have difficulty finding people because they have to compromise their standards by hiring unqualified staff. Now, that just gives us a bad consumer experience, wouldn't you say?
Right. You're diminishing your own brand. You're cheapening your product. Absolutely.
That's assuming that you do that. Assume that you hire somebody that's unqualified. I don't know what, different companies have different standards. So.
Well, right. And I will refer you to a previous blog called The Right Person for the Right Job to explain how to interview to get the right person in the right seat. But today, let's talk about how to find prospective employees in the first place. As the title suggests, this is a full-time activity. You should always be on the lookout for the perfect employee. And by perfect, I do not mean that literally. A perfect employee is an employee that you wish you had a dozen more of, just like them. How many times have you said, if I could only clone him or her? This takes work, and more work than you'd like to commit to, I'm sure. Even if you have an HR person or an HR department, it's every manager's job to be on the lookout for talent. But the payoff is the more time you spend looking for good talent, the less time you'll spend training, retraining, giving instruction, having labor issues, and the more productivity you'll enjoy. All these factors, as any manager will attest, is time-consuming and expensive. So to find employees, you can use various online and offline methods. Here's some strategies you can consider. Keep your eyes open. Even if you're looking for restaurants, servers, leave your business card with a generous tip and ask them to call you. If you're looking for engineers, approach those who impress you at your next industry conference. Always be evaluating people on the job that you see in everyday life. Job boards. Post your job openings on popular job boards to reach a wide pool of potential candidates. Some free job boards include Indeed and Glassdoor. Social media. Leverage your social media platforms to advertise your job openings and reach out to potential candidates. LinkedIn is a great platform for professional networking and job opportunities. But remember, even your customers who are Facebook fans, they probably know people who might be just right for the job. Employee referrals. Encourage your existing employees to refer qualified candidates who might be a good fit for your company. Talented people always know other talented people. So approach your best performers first, and it doesn't hurt to offer an incentive for existing staff, such as a finder's fee for anyone they refer and stays on board for 90 days or more, or a time that works for your company. Customer referrals. You spend a long time building a loyal customer base. Let the ones that you that you are on a friendly basis, those ones that you're on a friendly basis with, know that you're looking for some good help. Perhaps use your, as I said before, use your social media platform to announce positions that you're looking to fill. Candidate databases. Build that database of potential candidates by collecting resumes, contact information from previous applicants or networking events. You should always have a supply of resumes or applications ready to look at. Job fairs or career days. Attend job fairs or host a career day to connect with job seekers in person and promote your company's opportunities.
Great suggestions. I'd like to remind our listeners that the blog from which this podcast is prepared can be found on our website, resources-development.com, in the blog session, if you're looking to reference the bullets Skip just identified.
Thanks, Steve. The methods for recruitment may vary from industry to industry, the type of position, maybe dependent on the size of your company and the volume of employees that you need. So it's important to test multiple strategies and see what works best for your company. But no one strategy is probably going to fill the bill. To find the right person, you'll need to interview 10 to 20 candidates, depending on the quality of your employment marketing. It is never about the volume of applicants you get, rather it is the quality of the candidates. You can have your marketing message weed out poor applicants from prime candidates with the proper wording. The interviewing process has changed over the years as well. Rather than wasting excessive amount of time meeting each candidate in person, suggest a phone conversation or interview first. This allows you to feel out the individual for key work ethic indicators and allows the candidate to be at their best in their home environment. If the candidate meets your values for the right person, then you can suggest the in-person meeting.
Skip, I got to say, why I never did an interview on the phone first while I was in the retail industry to save myself time escapes me. I guess we tend to get into conventional habits that we think that we are too busy and we don't think out of the box. And I found myself doing that exactly.
There was a time where just putting the help wanted sign in the window of your business was enough, Steve. But that doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
And there's no more employment pages in the newspapers that I know of. So sadly, gone are the days of having a full file, a file full of potential candidates for any position. That said, it's also a good idea and a legal requirement to keep any open applications on file for at least a year. And my recommendation would be keep them forever. It may take a bit more organization on your part to organize the applications by position where they might be best suited. And you want to keep those applications on hand in case you're audited by the Department of Labor for some sort of discrimination accusation or something like that. The goal is to always have a pipeline feeding your potential employees in the same way a marketing funnel feeds new customers. Hard to do? Absolutely. But when it's done right, you'll never have to settle for mediocre again. You can weed through and hold out for the perfect candidates.
There are some simple solutions embedded in your comments today, Skip, but I think keeping ahead of the attrition we realize in business today, it becomes absolutely necessary to keep candidates on file and streamline your training process as much as possible to minimize the downtime that you realize while onboarding and training, because that can get expensive. I mean, as my wife was looking for opportunities or being recruited for opportunities in the past, I remember one afternoon, it took 4 hours because she had to meet with 2 or 3 different departments heads. She had to meet with the CEO. She had to meet with, and it takes a long time. Now you do that for 3 or 4 or 5 candidates, your whole day is devoted to interviewing, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, and frankly, it's usually not on the same day. You're interviewing with one person one day, you come back next week for another one. I remember interviewing for a job 10 or 15 years ago, I guess it was. where I actually had my first interview, and I was responsible for getting there in Baltimore, Maryland, and then the next interview was in San Francisco, and then back to Baltimore, and they didn't reimburse for hotel, travel, or anything, and that was over the course of like 3 months. Didn't and still didn't get the job. But at that point, on the third interview, I kind of told them that I thought this interview process was too much, and this isn't the way you should treat an applicant or whatever. But nonetheless, employers can demand nowadays second, third, fourth, and even fifth interviews before making their decision, and expect that. And the more professional the position you're looking for, the more interviews you're going to have to go on.
Well, let's qualify these comments about our experiences. I mean, these are not for, Chick-fil-A type of opportunities or working in a machine shop or something like that. And I'm not trying to diminish the value of the person that you're trying to find and the value of the people that are having to go through the interviews. But if you're looking for a staff position, it's not going to be flying across the country. It's not going to be meeting with a lot of different people. But it should be streamlined to a point where you can get to what it is that you're looking for. And I think we have had a blog on, interviewing, and it's good to reference the most effective way that you can get the information and find out what that person is about before you engage in the entire process. And again, like you pointed out, a phone interview, because they're comfortable. They're sitting in their home. They're sitting in their pajamas in front of the TV with a bag of Doritos in front of them, but they can just talk freely and comfortably rather than sitting in your stuffy office. So.
It's a good way to weed them out. In fact, I've done job fairs where we've used little quick questionnaires to weed out half the candidates, and then do a primary interview with the ones that are left over, and then a secondary from ones that are left over from that. But to your point, in the case of this advice to our business owners, they may be looking for machinists or frontline fast food workers. So again, I think the amount of tolerance that the prospect should have for interviewing should be commensurate with the position they're applying for. For example, if you were looking for an executive assistant, I mean, you've got to be able to get along with that person. That person has to be able to anticipate you. They have got to be your right hand person. That's going to take some considerable interviewing to make sure. I mean, that's like, that's your work wife or work husband. So that's an important job to take extra care with. But that doesn't mean we don't want to make sure that machinist doesn't have the skill sets as well as the attitude to get along with everybody else in the shop before we hire them.
Right. And obviously the amount of time that you devote to it is commensurate with the level of responsibility that person is going to have. Now, that's getting back to what the whole title of the podcast is about. It's a full-time job. I mean, feels like a full-time job. It's not just something you do casually. Is that fair?
I think that's right, Steve.
Okay. And now the newest addition to our podcast, it's story time. Gather around, grab an adult beverage, and listen up as we share how a company we know today overcame the very issue that we talked about in today's podcast. Now, having started, like many of you, from humble beginnings, and thanks to our podcast, they simplified things for greater results. And are you ready for a story?
I'm ready. I'm at the edge of my seat.
All right. Well, this real life example of a company that faced challenges in finding employees and successfully turned around things is a prominent hospitality company in the United States. The company is known for its high quality restaurants, which include Shake Shack, Gramercy Tavern, and Union Square Cafe. Well, in the early 2010s, Danny Meyer, the founder and CEO, recognized that the hospitality industry in general was facing difficulty in attracting and retaining talented employees. High turnover rates and a shortage of skilled staff were affecting the company's operations and customers' experience. Meyer and his team decided to take a holistic approach to address these challenges. They implemented several strategies to create a more appealing workplace and attract top talent. One thing they did was employee-centric culture. They put a strong emphasis on creating a positive, inclusive work culture. Number two, they put an investment in training and development To attract and retain skilled workers, they invested significantly in training and development programs. 3, they offered fair compensation and benefits, which is not a great surprise. The company reviewed its compensation and benefits package to ensure they were competitive within the industry. And finally, they offered much more community engagement. The company actively engaged with the local community to build relationships and create a positive reputation. As a result of these efforts, Union Square Hospitality Group, known as USHG, experienced a notable turnaround. The company became known not only for its exceptional restaurants, but also for its commitment to creating a positive work environment. By addressing the challenges in finding and retaining employees, USHG improved its overall performance and solidified its position as the leader in the hospitality industry. Not sure if you've heard of it, but they work behind the scenes in many companies. This story underscores the importance of a comprehensive and people-centric approach to addressing workforce challenges, showing that a company can transform its recruitment and retention efforts by focusing on culture, training, and employee well-being. Now, they hope to inspire others with their story and their work, and they believe that nothing is impossible without passion and perseverance, or with passion and perseverance would be better stated.
I like this story because USHG has been a groundbreaking company in the industry. But some of our listeners might be looking at this as like this is a lot of work and a lot of expense to find these right employees, to make sure that they've got the right compensation and benefits and so on and so forth. But here's the alternative. The alternative is what I call the race to the bottom. If you cheapen the product and the service that you have, your customer is going to base whether they do business with you on price only. We're always looking for some way to do a value add to our products and our services that we provide. And people are willing to pay more if they feel like they're getting a premium product or premium service. And I think that's the lesson here is even if this means that you need to raise your prices in order to offset this additional expense and this additional effort, I think what you'll find is you'll get a more loyal and a more excuse me, and a more upscale clientele that will spend more money with you over time. So I think I think the investment is well worth it, unless you're just trying to be the cheapest in the industry.
Well, USHG is a big company, and I think most people don't realize that they work as an adjunct component to many of these companies in offering this service. It's not like a mom and pop. But to your point, I think that you still have to implement those simple quality assurance components to ensure that you're finding the best people. You made reference to Chick-fil-A. I'm a big fan of Chick-fil-A. And I think what they have managed to do, and anybody that's been there can certainly agree that their people are trained very specifically to say certain things and to respond in a very kind manner. And they're all, by and large, well trained, and they're very consistent about their hospitality. So if Chick-fil-A can do it, and they're it's fast food, I guess you'd suggest it is fast food. It may not be McDonald's, it may not be Burger King, but they put the time and effort into it, and it's probably reflected in the price. But I don't think anybody doesn't go there because of the price of Chick-fil-A. I don't know how often you visit, but yeah, I don't think it's a deterrent, frankly.
And if we're talking fast food, I'd put In-N-Out in the same category as Chick-fil-A. These two companies pay the highest wages in the fast food industry to their employees. And because they do, they can be very picky about the employees that they choose. And I'm sure they have a very in-depth interview process to make sure that they're getting the right fit employees to do the job. I've gone into Chick-fil-A's and In-N-Outs, especially Chick-fil-A's, I think, both of them. And you can't tell who the manager is because everybody is just doing their job, whether it's cleaning the table, whether it's cleaning the tables, or whether it's waiting on the guests or hustling on the grill. Everybody just seems to be like a beehive of activity. It's just amazing that they don't require that much instruction and management.
And that's culture. Again, they've established that culture. What are the points that USHD did as well? So
Right, exactly.
Great story. Great conversation today. Great podcast. Let's cut away and hear about the free gift we're offering today for you, for our valued listener, for having stayed with us. This week's free gift is our price increase business tool. This tool is designed to help determine more effectively if and by how much you can raise prices without jeopardizing your business traffic and or your sales revenues. Now, many are concerned about rising prices, but as rising costs are imminent, raising your price is inevitable. So let's let Skip show us around the tool.
Thanks, Steve. I hope this is going to be a really handy little tool for business owners that are contemplating price increases. And we should always be looking to increase our prices and pushing that envelope whenever possible. So this tool is designed to do the calculations one of two ways. You can either choose to do it based on your company financials, or you can do it on your unit sales and your unit costs. So you can use the left-hand side for one and the right for the other. As with all the spreadsheets, you just put information in the white boxes, and when you hover over these white boxes, it'll tell you what type of information goes in each one of these. So here we're contemplating a 10% price increase based on company financials. We put those financials in here, and we're guessing that we expect to lose 10% of our customers with that increase, and it shows us that we're still going to make $60,000 more than the $300,000 we're making right now, even with those loss of sales. It shows that we can lose up to 250 sales and still break even and make the same amount of money. Over here on the unit sales side, same way, you just fill in the boxes, the unit price, unit cost, expected loss, how many sales you're presently doing for this period, and it shows that we're doing 100 sales less, but we're making $6,000 more. Now let me just change that to say we didn't lose any customers. We'd be making a whopping 40,000 instead of 30,000 in this example. And again, we would lose 250 sales and still break even with a lot less work. This also will show you commissions on sales, and at a 100% sales, 0% loss, we'd be paying a little bit more. But let's say we put that 10% loss back in there. It shows us that we would be paying less commissions on less sales and making more money. Steve, I hope this tool is helpful to all of our business owners out there when they're contemplating a price increase. I found it to be very useful when working with clients.
Excellent. As Skip mentioned, embedded in the tool are individual drop-down menus that walk you through data inputs and their usage. Now, this tool, as Skip mentioned, has been very valuable to show our clients how increasing their price can actually increase their profits without losing customers. Now, we hope this makes your business a little bit more predictable and a little bit more profitable. And the way to get your copy of the price increase tool for free is to go to the products page at resources-development.com and use the coupon code INCREASE, that's INCREASE, to get yours absolutely free. Now, this product is normally sold for $19.95 value that you receive free for listening to us today. Our gift to help make your life bizeasier.
Thanks, everybody. I hope it helps.
And there you have it. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Catch us on the next podcast and the last 200 that we've done. No, I don't know how many it was, but okay, Skip, let's wrap her up.
And that's a wrap, folks.
Thanks for listening to today's bizeasier podcast. If you enjoyed our broadcast, we would kindly ask you to like, subscribe, and share with other entrepreneurs. See you next time on the bizeasier podcast, where business is simplified for greater results.